Right now, all around the world, animals are locked up so that humans can feel joy, and we call that education, family fun. But let me say it clearly, zoos need to be closed, all of them, not improved, not redesigned, but ended. And why that? Zoo animals live in a psychological torment, and the pacing you see, that's not curiosity, it's called zoochosis. It is a mental disorder caused by confinement. You can picture wolves circling the same patch of its enclosure for years, an elephant swaying back and forth endlessly. That's not because it's dancing, but because it's breaking inside. And behind the polished signs of natural enclosures are cages, steel and glass barriers. There is no hunt, no freedom. There is an unnatural purpose in slavery. We steal animals from the wild and breed them into existence only to trap them so we can walk by, point the finger, take pictures, and leave. Meanwhile, they never get to. They never get out. Only a small share of zoo animals are endangered in the wild, 3 out of 10. For example, a study of Welsh zoos found that just 17% of their species were threatened, and an audit of 13 highly rated North American collections shown an even lower rate. Only 3.5 of species were on the IUCN red list of endangered species. Most of the zoo fundings stay inside the gates. The analysis of 200 budgets show that the majority of revenue is spent on visitor facilities like snake bars, souvenir shops, photo booths, air-conditioned cafes, parties on salaries, paved paths, maintenance, and only a small portion support field programs that protect habitats where animals actually live. Four examples that I came across lately and argued with people over that, mostly on Instagram. The first one is the 135-year-old tortoise in Miami Zoo. His name is Goliath, a tortoise who became a father of at 135 years old. In the wild, it would have likely reproduced decades earlier, but in captivity, it took over a century, and even then, only one egg hatched. And when that one finally emerged, what did they do? Paraded around with it, posed it for photos, and even placed it on the head of its 135-year-old father, like an object for display. That's not celebration, that's disruption. It shows lack of professional understanding because handling hatchlings increases their stress level, disrupts thermal regulation, and can impair early bonding and orientation behaviors. A professional would never do that. A professional would minimize contact. So people think tortoises and turtles don't feel much, that they're simple, slow, unbothered, but that's wrong. They sense the world through vibrations, through their legs and the ground beneath them. All around them is concrete, pumps, fans, machinery, footsteps, loud voices, air conditioners, low-end hums, even subsonic frequencies they can't escape. They live in a world of constant vibration and no silence, and they cannot flee. They cannot burrow in peace, and we call that display. It's no surprise the species have so much factors affecting their breeding capabilities. The conditions suppress their very instincts they need to survive. Evolved to roam entire islands, a single Galapagos tortoise have a home range up to 5 square kilometers, while in captivity they are often kept in enclosures smaller than 50 square meters. And that's the factor of 100,000 times less space. That's incredibly smaller than what they need. Uh, then there is then I chose a story of a polar bear, a viral video showing a polar bear playing with a plastic green signaling cone, and to the most of the people it was funny. They call it cute. What they didn't see was the pacing, the boredom, the concrete walls all around it. The That's zoocosis again, a mental breakdown from life in confinement. That cone isn't a toy; it is a symptom. Polar bears naturally roam hundreds of thousands of square kilometers in the Arctic, traveling up to 80 kilometers per day across ice, water, and land. Uh, so in zoos, their enclosure is 100 times smaller than the size of their wild territory. Usually it is under a single acre, and that's 63 by 63 meters, and they pace it until their mind fractures. The third story that I chose is the story about Wiki the orca, still trapped at Marineland in the Antibes, France, where she has been held in captivity for decades, where she learned to mimic human words. She was and still is confined to a tank. Her ability to imitate speech is a sign of just how intelligent orcas really are, but this didn't happen in the wild. It happened because of human curiosity twisted by control. Curiosity alone isn't wrong, but when it traps a sentient social animal in a concrete enclosure, it stops being science and starts being cruelty. Wiki wasn't speaking because she was free. She was speaking because she had no other choice. This research wasn't built on respect, it was built on isolation, on ownership, and captivity. Orcas in the wild swim up to 150 kilometers a day in oceans that cover most of the planet. In marine parks, they are held in concrete tanks 26 by 16 meters and barely two of their body lengths in depth, forced to circle endlessly in chlorinated water with their own echoes bouncing back at them from every wall, overloading their sensitive sonar. So, what was once a tool for hunting and communication becomes a source of stress and disorientation. Imagine yourself talking with a friend every day with your voice bouncing back at you. It's just, you'd go crazy. And you think they aren't going crazy? They are. So we should never again allow beings like her to be confined just to be studied. I'll always stress this. No more tanks, no more cages, just let them live free. And for the last story, I chose the story about the parrots of Lincolnshire. It's a wildlife park in the UK. 5 African grey parrots were removed from public view after they began swearing at visitors and laughing together. People found it hilarious. Videos were shared. The parrots became viral. But what looked like comedy was actually stress behavior, zoocosis again. In captivity, deprived of flock culture and natural communication, they latch onto human words, especially when those words trigger a reaction. Swearing was an adaptation in a distorted environment, and the zoo separated them as if the symptoms were the problem, not the conditions. In the wild, they'll fly up to 10 kilometers a day, navigating forests with complex soundscapes and rich social bonds. In captivity, they are caged to a few cubic meters of stagnant air and artificial light. So we took away their sky, their voices, their flock, and then they are separated even more when they curse us, really. So I can clearly say that safety without freedom isn't life, it's confinement. Some people say, but at least in zoos, the animals are safe. They don't have to worry about food, predators, and survival. Well, being fed isn't freedom. Being kept alive isn't the same as living a natural life. A lion that doesn't hunt is just a memory of a lion. A dolphin that doesn't swim the open sea is a ghost in a pool. A bird that cannot fly freely isn't lucky, it's broken. Safety with the purpose of entertaining humans isn't compassion, it's control and convenience. Cages with food are still cages. Captivity doesn't just change behavior, it alters biology, it changes animal on the genetic level. When we confine wild species in zoos or homes, wherever, we interrupt their evolutionary pressures. They no longer need to hunt, migrate, choose mates, or resist predators. Their stress hormones, reproductive cycles, and neural development shift. Over time, their DNA expression changes. That's called epigenetic drift. Their instincts dull, their bodies adapt to stillness, becoming a biologically altered version reshaped by confinement. People that are unaware of this call it protection, but in reality, it is genetic vandalism. Captivity, generation by generation, creates beings that become less and less like their natural design. People that are unaware don't see that what they loved about these animals in first place is exactly what captivity erases from an animal. What remains is just the look of an animal with a decimated life behind it. I try to make it clearer, and I wish it becomes clearer to most of the people why all zoos should close. If you really care, support real sanctuaries, the kind that rescues, rehabilitates, and rewilds animals when they can. Look for the ones that work with wildlife vets, that reject tourism and prioritize release over display. They are out there doing the real work, like GFAS. It's the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries. The World Animal Net Directory, the PASA, it's the Pan African Sanctuary Alliance, Born Free Foundation, and others like them. Uh, Also, be skeptical and aware of those who offer close contact tourism or offer ambassador animals for selfies, petting, and performances, because none of that has anything to do with the natural course of an animal's life. Let's talk about estimated global captivity in zoos by class, or in other words, let's see how many beings are held captive in zoos worldwide by species right now. Mammals, 260,000 individuals. Birds, 340,000 individuals. Fish, reptiles, amphibians, invertebrates combined, 500,000 individuals. But these numbers reflect only animals held registered in zoos that report to global databases, excluding countless unregistered facilities worldwide. Numbers could be easily doubled or tripled because of unregistered roadside zoos, private collections operating as public attractions, non-reporting facilities in countries with no oversight, and let's go to the other numbers that are linked to the captivity at homes and collections. So the global captivity estimates by animal class, again in private homes and collections, between 4 and 9 million reptiles and amphibians, 50 to 60 million exotic pets, crazy. They should all be in the wild. 250 million birds in, in cages. 460 million fish, and just because fish are like less intelligent, that is not the reason why they should be respected less than the others. So ethically, the numbers are very big because those are sentient beings suffering in cages or glass tanks. Consider also that most of them were born in captivity and will never experience their real natural environment. And how sad is that? To me, it is endlessly sad. Of course, I mentioned species at homes that cannot simply go to sanctuaries. They have been bred for so many generations in captivity that their instincts are dulled and survival skills erased. But that is actually the core reminder to what captivity does over time. I wish that next time you think about buying an animal, you think about this. Next time you feel like visiting a zoo or taking your children there, you think about this. Because what you are paying for is captivity, not care. What you are teaching is domination, not respect. So just let the animals live free. I ask you kindly, let them live free in the only place they were ever meant to be, their natural world. Thank you.